Good afternoon. My name is Jan Wit. I'm part of the No Micro team, and today I'm going to talk to you about something very horrendous that affects a lot of people. Actually, it affects 6.5 million people in the US only. It's actually so horrendous that I use drawings instead of the pictures of the actual chronic wounds. And you can see 3 different types of wounds that are the most important ones. You have the venous ulcer there on the left, which is very common in cardiovascular patients. You have the pressure ulcer, which is very common in patients, people who suffer from overweight or diabetes. And you have the diabetic ulcer, which is, as it says, is people that have diabetes. It's very common. 6.5 million people, you see diabetes, you see overweight, and you see people with cardiovascular diseases. It is about to rise, this number. It's now 2%, it will get higher. This is clearly a burden on the patient. I blocked the picture for you guys not to see, but you should think of a wound that doesn't heal. It will be open for weeks, for months. It will smell, it will hurt, it will be very unpleasant. You need professional care, so you need to go to the hospital. You stay there for a long time, and on top of that, if you're unlucky, you can get an infection and it will become even worse. So it's a real burden on the patient. Besides that, of course, society. The average cost of a patient with chronic wounds is about $4,000. So if you multiply that by the 6.5 million there on the previous slide, you will get to a number which is close to $25 billion per year. What the cost is. There are some products on the market. I listed a few of them. Most important one, these are products, mainly wound dressings with antimicrobial properties. You see Alefin, Aquacel, they're based on silver, which is released from the wound dressing to make sure the wound does not get infected. You have iodine-based products which do exactly the same thing, unless the iodine is the one that kills the microbes. And the third product that you have on the market is Regranex, which does actually something else. It speeds up the healing of the wound. It doesn't have any antimicrobial properties, but the wound healing goes faster. This product is a dangerous product, and it's advised, it does have an FDA warning now, that it's not to use too often, or you'll get different problems. You see that it addresses 2 different problems. No Micro has developed something that can address both problems in the same time. It's based on a very simple molecule. This is a peptide that is in everybody's skin, and it helps to regulate wound healing, and it also protects you from getting infected. It's a natural product. It has been shown in clinical studies that it works. The only problem is that it has a very narrow therapeutic window. That means if you give too much, it will be toxic, it will not be good for your cells. If you give too little, it will not work because the body will remove it very quickly. No Micro has changed the product slightly. They're now making nanoparticles which they coat with this specific peptide. If they do so, they can see that the antimicrobial properties of the peptide double actually. So a half of the concentration of the parent peptide, the nanoparticles coated peptide, show the same activity. From a toxic quality point of view, we can go up now 10 times the concentration until the cytotoxicity of the product equals the one of the free peptide. On the bottom is the faster healing, which is 15 to 25%, depending on the animal model, which is actually a very good product. This is how it's going to look like. You have a wound dressing, and you have the nanoparticles on top, which will be on top of the wound, protecting the wound from the infection. We think that if you protect the wound from infection, you get less infection, of course, which will shorten the treatment time and will reduce the cost. Secondly, you will reduce the treatment time of people who do not get infected, which is also a cost reduction, so that is very important. We realize that the market of wound care is dominated by some big companies like J&J, Smith & Nephew, and competing with them would be very difficult, but we see it slightly different. We have interest from a wound care company, and what we think would be the best approach for us is to produce these nanoparticles with the peptide coating and sell them to the large companies who have the distribution channels and everything available to put this in the hospital where it belongs. To do so, we have 2 international patents protecting our product. We have 4 publications in international journals. We have already in vivo proof of concept in mice models. And last summer, we obtained the Blue Pharma Award for innovative research in pharma. Who are we actually? Well, this is the team. First of all, we have Lino Ferreira, who's the engine behind all of this. We have Achilles Raas, who did most of the work of the actual preparation of the particles. And we have also Miguel Lino, who has a lot of experience with nanoparticles. Finally, it's me there. I joined the club the latest. I have experience in pharma and biotech startups and getting products from the idea towards the phase 1 clinical trials. We are contacting possible CMOs because clearly that's something that is lacking in our team at this moment, somebody with a medical background. Okay, what are we looking for? Well, we need to make some additional steps here. We're working on a prototype at this moment, which is actually a wound dressing with these particles on top. We probably will succeed before the end of the year or in January. That will de-risk our product somehow. After that, we are going for scientific advice, the regulatory agency, to see which steps we need to make to get our product approved. Preclinical safety and toxicity data we need to generate in the coming time before we can get to the market and get the CE certification. Meanwhile, we will scale up the process, set up quality management system and get everything done. And this is going to cost us, we estimate, about 1 million euros. Thank you very much.
Okay, so perfect timing now. It was really exact 7 minutes. And okay, so do anyone have a question for No Micro? Shall we start?
So it really seems you're still in the research phase. You're not quite in the commercialization phase, right?
Right.
Which means you don't need a CMO. You need to figure out what your business is going to end up looking like, and perhaps you're going to develop a technology and license it to a company to take it to market, like J&J. I actually coincidentally have some experience with this space. My father started a wound dressing company back about 15 years ago, and it's a very tough market that uses largely 100-year-old technology still. So to build your own medical device or medical application company and go through that whole process and get it out to market is incredibly time-consuming, incredibly expensive. And as researchers, as scientists in the space, you don't have the skill sets naturally in the team, right? So you're probably better off developing technology and trying to license it. You'll probably get it out to market much, much faster and much more capital efficiently.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you for your comment. That's a possibility that we're also considering licensing out this product. At this point, we choose for production, but yeah, because we're still in the early phase, we can think about that one as well. Thank you.
Okay, so another comment for No Micro? Gonçalo has one.
Okay, this is a tough one. What is, do you think, the biggest risk in your approach at the moment? It would be toxicity, probably not, because of the reasons you explained already, right?
You want to answer from me or from the scientist? From you. Okay, for me, well, it will be actually a scientific risk, what I see, and that will be the scale-up. That's something I think we should look into very well, because that's not that easy for nanoparticles. Yeah.
Okay, so if no one has any further questions, I guess that's it. Let's give an applause to No Micro.